There, it would say actually recording in higher quality. All right. And 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Never learned one note. Wait a minute.
Take us into the music episode there, Andrew.
Play me something.
Never took one
Play me
lesson.
something, Chris.
Oh, you can't put me on the spot like that.
Oh. There we go. Oh, I can hear better. Yes, we're back with our favorite beverages. I've got myself, that's right, Heineken Silver. That's what Andrew told me to drink. Mm-hmm. Along with its partner in crime, Jameson Orange.
There you go.
Fuck yeah.
Jameson Orange, yeah, you were rooting on that a couple years back. You were telling me all about that.
It's going to help put a smile on my face.
There you go.
I got a people yelling at me.
That all being said, greetings and salutations. That's right. All of you are enjoying this primetime Thursday, this thirsty Thursday, this musical Thursday, where everyone has been meeting us here down in the man cave. That's right. We have our special, wonderful guest back, Mr. Andrew Dowdney.
Hola.
Dowdney, is that correct?
Yes, sir. 100%.
Oh, yes. I didn't screw it up.
Don't use the audience button. I'll be your audience.
God, the last time it sounded like an ocean. And, of course...
See? I wasn't lying.
He wasn't lying. And, of course, the man himself, the myth, the legend...
Chris Webb.
Oh, geez.
Push the button.
Chris
do it.
Webb.
We'll get it down. I'll just edit that in.
Do it.
Well, this week we're going to have a little bit more of a, I don't know, a little bit more fun, a little bit more, you know, I'll just start drinking this and we'll see what happens. And I know it was pretty much a random subject last week. We were talking about, you know, our Second Amendment rights and to be fair, we were recording 4th of July weekend. So if you're seeing this much later, it's just because we got to plan ahead and everybody has, you know, responsibilities out there. Andrew, Chris, myself. So yes, so if you're hearing 4th of July, but Andrew, you were right. I shouldn't speak for you. If you could basically repeat what you were saying there about our 4th Amendments and 4th of July.
Well, that was Second Amendment.
Second,
and
4th of July, 4th Amendment. Heineken Silver.
That's all right, folks. Scott is about 7 or 8 deep at this point.
Still wearing the same shirt.
It's all right.
Not me.
It's all right. You had to rewear it. Nothing wrong with it.
That's, you know what? If you want to hear me say Second Amendment properly without the 4th Amendment, then just go watch that episode or listen to it on your favorite, you know, podcasting app.
Just hit the rewind button again. It's my favorite.
I'll just hit the rewind right now. So, guys, like we've talked about before, that was pretty much a random subject last week. You know, random shit. You know, we get on the horror subject, and we will probably want to get a little bit more closer towards that season. Of course, cars. Yeah, we got to get back into cars again here, because that's definitely going to be something. I know we got some plans on that here soon. But I want to get back into some music again. I got to get back into some music again. It just makes me feel good, and I need to feel good right now. And this is going to help.
Well,
but I figured, you know,
that's my crutch.
Since Chris is obviously he's like poetry when it comes to speaking of music. Andrew, what is about music that you make? Do you like music? I should ask first.
Well, yeah, I do, and I hate to go back and hark back to it, but you know, something that I got from my dad. You know, it's something that he gave me at a young age, and I was kind of raised on Bob Dylan and Arlo Guthrie and Cat Stevens, and that's kind of where I started around probably 6, 7, kind of 8, remembering things, and was introduced to that style of music, and then my music just kind of grew from there, and had just kind of, you know, I was a child of the 90s, so I was lucky enough to grow up through that. I mean, if you know what I'm talking about, which most of you do, then you know what era that was, and that was an amazing time for me as well. So,
yeah, buddy.
Heck yeah, I mean, that was, I mean, I hate to say it, and I am going to age myself, but, you know, that's kind of where I listen to a lot of grunge and alternative rock and that sort of, you know, music. But I like all music. I don't have one.
Music is timeless with age.
Stand. Yes, for sure. What about you, Scott?
I could definitely, oh God, I could go on and on. I'm going to go ahead and go to the 90s real quick, since you were there.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'm going to do my best to try to filter this down, because I know I can go on and on and on and on about a certain band. But Andrew, I think you'll appreciate this one.
Yes, sir.
Concert, what year was it? Driving up to Cleveland in another piece of shit Escort, where I was doing top speeds of 55 miles an hour, or maybe 50, because those wheels and tires just couldn't handle it. I don't care. I was on my way to see Van Halen up in Cleveland from Dayton, Ohio, which is about 3+ hour drive. Chris, you probably know better than that because you were there recently.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I go see Van Halen, outdoor venue.
Nice.
And I'm going to tell everybody here something. Well, I mean, I've told the story to others, but I'm going to say something that could embarrass me. But you know what? As of right now in 2023, the way things are now in my life when it comes to that particular band, Van Halen, I'm going to be proud to say that as I'm standing there waiting in a tight grouped area of people, and I'm kind of fast forwarding to this experience, I had to go to the porta potty so bad. And I knew Van Halen was getting ready to come on stage, because the warm-up band was, Andrew, I know you're going to appreciate this, Alice in Chains.
I knew it before you said it.
And
yes, sir. I love it.
God bless America.
So after they were done performing, it's getting a little darker. The crowd's starting. I had to pee so bad.
Oh, yeah.
I had to go so bad. But I am not going to. I was prepared for the possibility of an ambulance showing up. But I'm going to have to wait till after Van Halen's done. So, folks, for you people out there that are watching this right here on YouTube, you're going to subscribe after this, or you're going to download this one, because, yes, I will confess, I pissed myself because I was not going to miss Van Halen. I pissed myself.
I can't top that. I can't top that.
And I'm fucking proud of that too.
Okay, I need to be there in the moment. You gotta play by play me, like how you can't just lightly brush over that.
Let's just put it this way. It was during Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. Yes, it was during that tour. So this was early 92.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I just, it's the thing of it is, I'm trying to do my best to pay a pitch. Okay, there was a guy that jumped from a plane. Obviously, he had a parachute. He was prepared. And of course, everybody, and I'm like, maybe I could get to a porta potty, but I had already been to that porta potty. Did I say party? Because there's always a party at a porta potty at a Van Halen concert. But it took me about 20 minutes to get there. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm doing all the math. I am not taking my chances, because what if I'm in there taking a piss and all of a sudden I hear Van Halen? I'd rather tell the truth of how I pissed myself, because I didn't want to risk.
That's devotion. That is devotion.
So, Edward, if you're listening right now, I want you to be proud of me. So, yes.
I mean,
well, I have to give you props
how
on
was
that,
it?
Scott. That's to admit that. That's amazing. That's got a lot of courage. I mean,
And Alice in Chains was
probably couldn't admit that.
Yeah, they were pretty. They were new to the public, obviously. Well, to us, obviously, we're there. And I felt bad for the band, because their engineer, their sound engineer, he wasn't doing a very good job. And the band itself, you could tell, and this wasn't through their whole entire set, it was in the beginning. You could tell they were getting frustrated with them. So, but yeah, all of a sudden, things got fixed. And then all of a sudden, it was kind of really, I think it was a cool thing for Alice in Chains that particular day, because you got a young crowd like myself, or your average, rockhead going to a concert, kind of like, oh man, and then all of a sudden they sound really good, so they were appreciated even more during that time. So I thought that would lead into a good 90s reference of music.
Yeah, in saying that, I mean, obviously Alice in Chains is one of my favorite bands of all time. I will say that I followed them closely enough that when they came to Oklahoma City, it was my first time to even go to a concert. I want to say it was, and please don't hound on me if I'm wrong, please let me know what year it was, but I want to say it was 89, 90. They were touring with Ozzy Osbourne, And they had stopped in for the concert at the state fairgrounds at the grandstands. And I just remember it vividly that Lane came out with he broke his leg, or he broke something there on they were four-wheeler, or it was some type of ATV that they were messing around, three-wheeler or something, and he broke his leg. And so they opened for Ozzy, and they brought him out, and they set him out there on this couch. And this was a pro-Ozzy concert. Not many people in Oklahoma in 1989, 90, and I know it was that year because I know what grade I was in, and it was somewhere in that time frame. And however, they came out, they got booed, and they played like 4 or 5, maybe 6, 7 songs. I can't remember, it's been so long, but I just remember Lane was like, they were kind of getting booed off, and I was like, these guys are amazing. Why are all these people booing them, And so that's when I was introduced to who they were, and I really started digging into finding out who they were. And there's a recent interview with Jerry Cantrell on YouTube. You guys might want to check it out. It's called Icons. And it's about, I don't know, I think it's about an hour or so, but
is he sitting like in front of like a big bookcase?
Yes.
Okay, I've seen it.
Yes. That's amazing.
And then I got very lucky on guessing his background. But yeah, I've seen it. Pretty good. Yeah. He's got short hair and everything.
It is pretty good. Yeah, I mean, he went through that one phase, since I've known, who Alice in Chains were. So, but yeah, they're one of my favorites. They're amazing. And speaking of Jerry, I mean, I will say back in, I think it was 2001, my wife on my birthday at the time had bought me tickets to see him on his Boggy Depot tour here in Oklahoma City at the Will Rogers Theater on Southwestern here in Oklahoma City. And she bought me tickets. It was a smaller venue. I can't even remember the name of the band that opened for him, but I've got pictures with them. And I just waited and waited for Jerry. I wanted to meet him. And he ended up blowing out the front door. And he was getting on the tour bus. And I said, "Hey, Jerry." And he turned around, and I go, "Man, do you mind if I get my picture with you?" And he goes, "Not a problem, man." And he just grabbed my camera from me and just took a photo. And I'm like, "Jerry, no, I want one with you." And he goes, "Okay, man." And he handed the camera to my wife, and he stood there. After the film was developed, this is the cool part. So after the film was developed, I didn't realize it. However, because I followed them so well, his dad was in the background, and he's the rooster off the song, The Rooster. Mm. So he's in the background. So I've got my picture with Jerry and his dad. It's a really cool photo, and it was a cool memory. And I got to meet Sean Kinney that night. Sean was playing the drums, and got to meet Sean Kinney, which was obviously the drummer for Alice in Chains. And he was touring with Jerry there. And I assume they were hanging out at the farm with, they have a farm out. And I want to say it's like down by Atoka, Oklahoma somewhere. I don't want to give it away exactly where it is, but it's down somewhere down there. I don't know if they still own it or not, but it's kind of cool story. And he was really cool to me. And hopefully one of these days, I know I'm going to see him September 24th. I'm going to try to bring that picture, see if I can get Jerry to sign it.
And that'd be pretty damn cool.
If he's there, if he's willing to do it. But, I respect him if he doesn't want to do it. I can only imagine touring for so many years. You just want to get in, play your gig, and get out. You know what I mean?
Well.
So. Cool. It was a cool story. And I will have to bring one more up if you don't mind.
You know what? Before you do that, I got to ask you guys something, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do either one of you, Andrew or Chris, do you ever get that not so fresh feeling?
Yeah, I guess.
Well, thanks to our new sponsors, Mass and Gilbert. Yes. Mass and Gilbert. It sounds like a Mass and Gilbert, but it's from Mass and Gilbert. Basically, they will leave you feeling, fresh and clean. Yes, they're dedicated to basically effective formula that cleanses you with some irritations down there. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's a comfort, glide strip with the flexible neck bottle. It's comfortable and easy to use. Mass and Gilbert. Freshness made simple.
I don't know where we went.
It's just a sponsor. It was a sponsor here.
I don't think...
Mass and Gilbert.
I don't know
Freshness made simple.
Precious.
I'm so confused. I thought we were shooting for Manscaped. I thought we were doing the balls.
Yeah, we were talking about the 90s, Alice in Chains, all sorts of stuff. And I know, wasn't that too long ago, Chris, you were really passionate about a soundtrack from the 90s itself. Could you tell us about what I interrupted you about weeks ago about that particular soundtrack?
So there's a small little movie, not a lot of people probably know about it, by the name of Pump Up the Volume, which was a Christian Slater movie. Every time I think about how we're kind of doing this podcast type situation, it always reminds me of that movie. And basically giving a voice to all the kids that didn't have a voice type situation. There's a kid, he was kind of an introvert. He started into a high school. He was from New York, I believe. And I believe he moved to, can you guys help me out on that, Oklahoma?
It's been so long. I mean, I'm picturing Christian Slater, how damn good he was in that movie, but I can't remember the exact locations.
Moved to a small town. He, he was just a loner. He was just a lot of the things I identify with. And it was kind of, he stumbled onto this radio broadcasting that he was doing, this pirate radio was the term back then, but it was where you'd hijack a radio band. And you would use that radio band and you'd essentially talk. It was not recorded. You just would talk to the void, to the ethos out there. He didn't know he was talking to anybody. He was trying to radio his friends back home where he came from. But anyways, he amassed a little following there, and he had a lot of people that started believing in him and wanting him to be kind of their voice of reason and to speak for them, because a lot of the stuff that they were saying was getting shut down by the school, and kids didn't have a voice. And it kind of just goes down this path that I think if anybody would want to watch it out there, it giving a voice to those that can't talk and can't speak for themselves. Just take up something that gives you some sort of expressional freedom.
And he was a radio
Something
DJ,
like
wasn't he, Chris? No,
No.
okay, I need to rewatch it. It's been so many years since I watched it. I mean, I watched it when it came out.
No, he was just another one of the high school kids. Nobody knew who he was or even how old he was. He used a voice disguiser.
Okay.
He called himself, I don't know if I want to say, happy. I'll leave that out. It's not a good name.
Well, I will say, on top of what you had to say about Christian Slater, I mean, come on, how about True Romance? I mean, come on. True Romance is one of my all-time favorite movies. I mean, it had so many stars in that movie. I mean, just look at the cast. I mean, if you guys got your computer up, wow. Just pull the cast up to True Romance.
The Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
The what?
The Titanic.
The movie The Titanic or what?
Sorry.
Oh, it's over my head.
It didn't come off as well. For some reason, I was thinking Christian Slater over Leonardo DiCaprio. Go ahead.
Andrew. Yeah. Gleam in the Cube?
I remember Gleam in the Cube. I don't remember the story much, but I remember it was a skater movie. Yeah. But golly, I remember when it came out. I remember the trip to the theater more than I do the movie, which is crazy. I remember when we all piled in this station wagon to go see it at the theater. We were like, yeah, we're going to go see it. I mean, I was a kid. You know, that's probably 5th grade maybe. Scott's probably, what were you, Scott? Probably 12th grade.
I was close.
At that time, probably when Gleam in the Cube
getting closer
came out,
to,
probably.
Oh, God. In the 90s? Are we talking about the 90s?
No, Gleam in the Cube was in the 80s.
Oh, shit. 80, I was about ready to graduate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I said you were probably in 12th
Thank you
grade.
for being a friend. I think that's what I was watching. So, Christian Slater, what I think about him is that at that time, everybody thought he was going to be like like a young Jack Nicholson, because he had a certain persona about him that he reminded of Jack Nicholson. Good actor.
Right.
Dude, I love that dude. Cuffs.
Yeah.
A lot of the movie roles he took on were good. But we're getting off in like
Actorland. You know, music is so random. It is, and it's so beautiful. And I mean, we went from Alice in Chains, from Andrew's subject, you know, from his passion, his love for Alice in Chains and his stories, and I really wanted to make sure, because I know how passionate you are about Pump Up the Volume and how it can relate to what we're doing here, And, of course, I talked to you privately about a great movie when it came to talk radio, which is something I highly recommend.
This country is rotten to the core, and somebody better do something about it. I want you to take your hand out of that bowl of Fritos, throw away your National Enquirer, and pick up the phone. Go ahead, pick it up, hold it up to your face, and dial 555-TALK. Open your mouth and tell me what we're going to do about the mess this country's in. Talk radio. It's the last neighborhood in town. People just don't talk to each other anymore. Let's go to the first caller. Night Talk, Agnes. Yeah.
I love Lucy. Now, why don't they make more of them?
Those shows are ancient, Agnes. Lucille Ball must be at least 105 years old. The rest of the cast is dead.
Barry, Metrowave's going to be picking up the show starting Monday night, link it to a national feed.
We have a very special guest with us. Kent is the classic American youth, energetic and resourceful, spoiled, perverse, and disturbed. Would you say that's an accurate description, Kent?
Barry, you should ask me if you want to have a guest on the show.
Why?
Because I'm the boss, Barry, that's why.
All you have to do is just be nice, okay?
Now, easy, Barry. You're part of the problem, you see.
I don't care what you think. No one does.
He's going down in flames, Dan.
So what?
You get the package I sent down to the station. See, if I were you, I'd have my pretty assistant give the police a call. Take the bomb squad about 10 minutes to get down
Bomb
there
squad?
to the
Why
station.
should I call a bomb squad? Tell me something. I'm curious. How do you dial a phone with a straitjacket on?
Powerful movie.
Still have to watch that.
Great movie. It's one of those cult classics, I guess you could say. And then I start thinking, you know what? I interrupted Andrew earlier when I had this terrible sponsor because you had something else, and if I remember correctly, it had something to do with. I love Nirvana. Am I close?
Yeah, you're close.
Am I close?
Warm. Real warm. So I think it was either the November or December, 3 months before Kurt Cobain's death. And we saw him here on the, again, Oklahoma State Fairgrounds, but it was called back then the Travel and Transportation Building. And it really was kind of like a barn, really, guys. I mean, it was like a metal barn. They set the band up. I saw Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains there, and Smashing Pumpkins. I saw, and they were all small venue, events like that. And however, I had a friend of mine that didn't show back up to the car after the show, and we sat there and waited for him for like 45 minutes, and we were like, look, we got to go. And as we did, they had one of those roll-away doors, and here it comes up, and here you see Dave Grohl, Kurt Cobain walk by, Chris Novoselic, and the Breeders. They just come walking by this door, and they get in these vans. And I just tell my two other friends, I'm like, get in the car. And they got in, and we followed them up beside them in the van, and we're like, what's up? And they were really cool with us. And we just followed them all the way back to this luxury hotel in Oklahoma. For especially being back 93, we only had one, and it was called the Waterford Hotel, and that's where they were staying. And my two friends were scared to death to get out of the car and go in and meet these guys, and I was not scared. And I bolted in there after they went in. And Kurt Cobain had one of those Uncle Eddie hats on, that flips up, and his hair was just kind of coming out and scruffied, and he had like a big flannel on and just kind of baggy pants, and he was really cool. I went in, talked to him for like maybe 10 minutes, maybe with those guys. Just talked to him about the tour, talking about how it was, how things were going. I asked them if they were going to go party tonight because I wanted to go party with them, and they were like, no, we're tired, we're going to go to bed. And I'm like, well, thanks for spending the time talking to me. He goes, man, it's cool, man. We appreciate it. And at the time, I had this shirt. I mean, I was a kid, man. Couldn't even afford a shirt. So I just went, got a white shirt, and I stenciled their logo on it and literally made it look like their logo. And he commented on it. He's like, where did you get that shirt? And I'm like, I made it. He goes, that's one of the coolest shirts I've ever seen. And I was like, hell yeah. So that was kind of a story. And then, 3 months later, he passed, and you're like, what? And it was a big deal, So it was just kind of cool to meet him, too. And, I was one of the lucky ones that got to talk to him, So, and they were really cool, all of them. Dave Grohl, Chris Novoselic, and then the Breeders, they were really cool, too. So it was a cool experience.
There's a YouTuber, I'm trying to remember his full YouTube channel. He more or less his YouTube channel has been pretty much around Nirvana, Kurt Cobain, and the passing, and of course the situation. And I'm not going to get into all of it because I think enough of us know the history, the story of Kurt Cobain's death. With possible speculations. I'm not going to go there. I already have my beliefs and feelings on it. But I want to get to the more upscale, the positive side of it. You know as well as I do, Andrew, there are millions of people around the world that would have loved to have been in your shoes, even right now, to have that story to share, that you actually met Kurt Cobain and have spoken with him.
Yeah, it was cool. And one thing that I left out, as silly as it is, it stood out to me. He was holding, it's stupid and silly, but he liked him well enough to grab a whole plate from, I guess, backstage. But they were like these, I would call them Spanish candies, or they were like candies that I used to get in my Mexican food restaurants here in Oklahoma City. But they were like caramel, and they had like nuts in them. But he had a whole plate of them, and I said, "Man, looks like you got some candy." And he was like, "Yeah, and we talked about this candy and stuff. And he goes, "Man, it's delicious. I can't stop eating it." And he went on and on about that candy, and I'm like, "Man, I'm sitting here. I was kind of breathtaking to just talk to this guy, and he talking back to me, just like being really cool with me. So it was really cool. I mean, I don't tell the story to boast about it by any means, but it was just a cool story that I'm, Now you can tell it 30 years later, so it's just kind of cool. I've never used the platform to even tell the story. I tell my friends, my close friends know about it. 2 of them sat in the car and missed out there on their opportunity, so I give them a hard time about it when I can.
Oh, yeah, I would. Anytime Nirvana, the subject comes up in here, and they probably kick themselves in the ass every single time.
Yeah. Probably so.
See, that's great. See, mine was more like sitting in my room, like listening to those type of bands. Yeah. I don't have any cool conversations like that.
Well,
cool
and the thing is it's just happened to be lucky. They were coming on the scene as I was growing up, and we got to see them as they were coming up, and so tickets were super cheap. We paid maybe, I mean, like I said, I got to see him at Ozzy, and it really changed me. That was my first concert to ever go to, and it was really impressionable because there were some other things later on in the show that happened that I could go into, but, I saw somebody get stabbed and thrown over a railing. I saw guys climbing up on this, it was a mud rink around the stage out there because they drive those, those funny cars around them, you know what I mean? I forget what they're called, but those little race cars. And anyway, they have these big cages on them, so people were climbing up and rocking out to them, and people were getting yanked off the tops of those things. It was just kind of wild, and it was just like waves of people when Ozzy came on. It was crazy. I'd never seen fans like that ever, when Ozzy came out. So it was a weird experience, to see Alice in Chains, at their beginnings when people didn't know who they were, to go from, their first album, past that to, Dirt, and it just changed after that, and they were like huge.
Oh yeah, so, yeah, definitely.
So and that was like Chris Cornell, Soundgarden, and then you go back to really the beginnings, Andrew Wood and Mother Love Bone. I mean, we can go on and on and on. I can talk days on days about Seattle, Washington music, but I just love it. It's kind of part of me.
Yeah. I don't know. I naturally always want to throw Heart into that because they were from Seattle. But,
absolutely, and they actually were on an album with Alice in Chains, Sap. So it's kind of cool. You get to hear them sing together. If you ever want to go back and listen to that, if you didn't know it, you can check it out.
Yeah, it's oh God, it's so funny. My algorithm on YouTube has been bursting more into music, and it's kind of cool because I don't know. It's you know how it is. Maybe there's things that you've missed, and it's I'm not going to get into that much. It's just kind of cool to get kind of revived with some of the things that I used to enjoy again. Just because of the damn algorithm on YouTube again. And oh God, I want to say one more thing because I'm hoping I can. Because I know Chris loves music, I do want to say this, because I already said something to Chris about this earlier. I've been anxiously awaiting for for the whole album, which is supposed to come out next month. Right now it's just singles with Wolfgang, so, Man with WVH, his second one. And like Dave Grohl, of course, with the first Foo Fighter album, he recorded all the, all of the instruments, guitar, drums, bass, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, the vocals. Well, he's continued to do that even from his second album. And there's a song, one of the singles that's obviously right now released on this second album. It's a single on its Take a Bow. And there's a solo that gets like into the 4 minutes into the the song. And he's mentioned, I actually got to see if there's a video on it, because he obviously, it's like when he releases a single, he releases a video. And it's been told that he pulled, because he obviously records, and it's his studio now, his dad's 5150 studio. But he pulled one of his dad's, as a lot of people call it, Frankenstrat, his old classic, or as dad would call it, his baby. He used that to record the solo, and I swear to God, as soon as you hear even the first note, it's one thing after Edward passed away, it took me a little while before I could listen to Van Halen. Yeah. And I'm thankful that the first Van Halen album that I really listened to since that, it was so funny. I went to my Fair Warning album. That's always going to be my ultimate. Fair Warning, then the first Van Halen album. But that was my first one. But when Wolfgang recorded something new that sounded, obviously, because Wolfgang goes to the beat to his own drum. That was one of the first things that Edward wanted him to do as a musician. You follow your own, because that's how Edward's always been. He doesn't like to copy others. He likes to do his own thing. But listening to that, oh my God, it put chills up my spine, because it's almost like you're hearing something new from Edward. And ironically, the title of the song is Take a Bow. It is just like, God. And it's like a minute long, and it's just, this kid is...
Yeah, he was one of a kind.
But I'm really proud of what Wolfie's doing there. He's loving rock and roll. Cool. He's recording it his way. Yes, he has his band, and I'd love to see him on tour, and hopefully I'll get to see him on tour someday with the Foo Fighters. So I just wanted to throw that in there real quick. So,
and if I could throw one last thing in before Chris takes over.
Yeah, Chris, come on.
Listen, I want to just add what Chris. I just wanted to add what Chris added earlier before I forget. Mental health's a big thing, and I just feel like people that if you ever have any issues, just try to reach out to somebody. Someone will help you. You know what I mean? And that's what I wanted to add, and I'll shut up.
You're more welcome to talk to us, too. In fact, I'm glad you brought that up. In the comments section, you can ask us some questions there in YouTube, or you can go to our website. There's a link constantly available on our videos here. It's always going to be in the description box. You can ask us questions about future podcast. I should stick to podcasts, saying that out loud. Or if you just need to reach out, hell, contact us on our Instagram. Leave a message there. I said, all that information's always going to be in the description box.
There you go.
And if you're going to ask anything about rehauls, you're going to have to talk to Chris, because that's his hidden jewel. That's all I'm saying.
No. No, none of that. No, I'm just trying to, take it all in, listen to what you guys are saying, because I don't have stories like that in that time period, in that era, So I'm just trying to listen, soak it in. I enjoy stories like that.
Well, thanks.
What inspired? I mean, Chris, you talked about in our first episode, because I kind of. In other words, what really got you? Was it with being around your siblings? Was it something that just all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Because Andrew talked about with what got started for him, like his dad and all. And I mean, was there anything else additional that might have? Because I mean, I could tell how passionate you are about music. When we hang out over at your place, you're listening to music all the time, and just listening from the edits.
24/7.
Yeah, listening to the edits to hear you talk about music. Andrew and I talk about the 90s, and because I wanted him to welcome in his subject matter, but even though I'm not going to cut this out, I just want to remind you, Chris, music is part of our soul, and if there's anything inspiring about what we're talking about here, I would love to hear more about it. I don't care what genre it is. It's you. It's a part of who you are.
Yeah, man. For me, that's hard. That's a loaded question. That's when music really started affecting me like that. I mean, I love my mom to death. I was raised by my mom, pretty much. But at that point, she was working 2 jobs to, to support
and your
our
music
life,
collection,
the life that we had grown accustomed to. But I mean, yeah, my mom's my hero. She was working 2 jobs. It was a lonely existence growing up. Kind of, it was a lonely childhood type situation. And I mean, my dad kind of went his way when I was 6. So it's a very different. It's kind of like having your world flipped on its head. And I wouldn't say there was an outlet for me. There wasn't like anything that really I didn't have anybody to talk to type deals. I didn't have none of that. So hearing and listening to music and getting deeper and deeper into it was just letting me know that there's other people out in the world that are going through their own sets of problems that I latch on to, kind of, if they're going through similar situations that I am, because they've already been through it and they've talked about it and they wrote music about it and they're still going on writing more music. And it's just something that, like I said in that other episode, that just lets you know that you're not alone. I felt like I was alone so much. Not to anybody's fault. I mean, that's how life is, You can't change it. Life is what you're given, and you got to make the best of it. And music kind of gave me a reason to look for the best in life.
That's cool. I didn't realize that, Chris. I didn't realize that. That's an amazing story.
I love how you connected music with your mother.
Yeah.
See, awesome. 2 unconditional loves right there.
100%.
Drop the microphone again, Chris.
No, I don't know. I don't have cool stories like that.
I know you do have a cold. I apologize. A cool story about music. I know you do.
Well,
yeah, growing up into my later years.
Do you want to save that for another episode, or do you want to? Because we are 40 minutes in.
No, I don't want to. No.
So we'll get into it some other time, because he does have something. Maybe it'll take him a couple more episodes to where he'll want to share that particular story. And I encourage you to share that story, because there'd be some people out there that would probably, especially your kids.
Yeah, I hope they love music half as much as I do.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
It's kind of, it is, I can relate, though, what you say when you connect with it. I can't connect like you do by any means, but there is something when I listen to it. You know what I mean? It gives me something. It fuels me. You know what I mean? It gives me something. So
yeah,
I can't say by any means that I can relate in your capacity, but I can just say that I can relate to the music. I think it makes me feel a certain way. You know what I mean? So.
And I mean, when I talk about it, it's almost 100% lyrical. Like, I'm always analyzing the words in music.
It's music. I think it's just because I was obviously worshiping the ground that Edward walked on. I'm always fascinated with how the music is recorded. You know what I mean? Right. Lyrics are amazing. It's what you sing along to, but for me, it's the music. How did those individuals, Kurt Cobain, Jerry Cantrell, how did they do that? Where did that note come from? Where did that tone come from? How did they figure that out? Just blows my mind. Or John Carpenter.
And see, that's great. We got 3 guys here that are basically talking about, 3 different ways music affects them. That's how fucking amazing music is.
It affected him, and that's how they connected, is because Lane couldn't stand the people that Jerry and the other guys were playing with, and so he said, just get that guy out of here and I'll be your singer. Finally, after a while, when they were living in the music bank. which is a cool story. If you ever hear the story, it's pretty cool.
Wow.
I tell you what, I love this episode already because it's more of a personal uplifting, because it's music, you know. For me, pissing my pants to Andrew meeting the great Kurt Cobain, and Chris expressing his love for his music and mom.
There you go.
Sorry, Chris, you were saying?
You went there first.
And I'm damn proud
The
of
rest
it.
of us had to give something
In fact,
personal.
I had
Leave
to
it
piss
all
from the
out
very
there, right?
beginning of this podcast, and I'm not going to tell you the results so far.
Just go, man.
You gotta go. You gotta go. I want to get off. I want to say I got to get it off my chest because it's more like a random rant, I guess you could say. I'm gonna leave it on the down note. Okay, things today suck when it comes to the prices, right? Fuel, food, even ice. I go to the local grocery store, right? I go buy my food. I spend 30% more on what I normally have spent, this time last year. And I'm going to get a bag of ice because, I prefer my Irish, Jameson and orange on the rocks, which it's kind of melting, which gets to my damn point here. I'm paying more for ice. And by the time I get it out to my car in this summer heat and get it home, I've lost like 2% of that ice because it's melted. I should get a damn rebate. That ice is not as much as it was at the beginning, and yet it's costing me more.
Well,
1, 2,
What?
3, 4.
It's kind of like when you buy a bag of chips and they come in at the net weight and not the full bag, and you open it and you're like, what the fuck is this?
Then again,
This is a half a bag.
yeah. Then again, it did refreeze.
well, good
Never
news
mind.
is you guys get all that cold weather up there all the time.
We actually didn't.
Well-
Well, we're probably going to get our asses kicked this winter because it was actually Ohio weather was probably nicer than some other state. Just throw it in. It was a mild winter for us. So,
Wow, that's good.
any of you have
I would
any
assume
rants?
it's usually-
So I don't look as bad, as bitchy.
Guest first.
Andrew's loving
No.
life. You son of a bitch.
He said no.
I'm on it.
He said it's all good.
I don't have ice issues,
I love
Scott.
everybody. No, but you know what I'm saying? I figured you guys probably have like 8 months of winter? At least 6 months of winter and probably 2 months
This is not
1
New
month
York.
of fall, 1 month of Okay.
No, seriously, Andrew, we don't. No, this.
No, okay.
It's so weird.
It really don't hit us until
Yeah,
like January.
our August are hot, which is still summer. September's it's hot. October,
Okay.
that's when we have our. That's usually, I'd say, what, Chris? That's usually the roller coaster month. Yeah, it's
Nice.
beautiful usually here, but sometimes it gets cool. It gets
nice
warm. We
weather.
get our Indian summers in October. November it could be hot. It's just you never know in Ohio. Ohio is a part of that list of, stick around. It'll change in 15 minutes. Yeah.
Murphy's Law.
Now, I would honestly, it's changed. Technically, it's changed. At my friggin' age, I can honestly say, being a member of the youth in the '78 blizzard, I remember more snow, not just in '78, but I remember more snow back when I was a kid. As I've gotten older, here in the same location, in general speaking, we don't really have snow like we used to.
You know what fucking drives me nuts though? Is the wind.
Oh, well, with your job, that's understandable.
I swear we're like, do we like overnight become Chicago or something? Are we known as the Windy City now? It's fucking all the fucking time. I don't understand.
The wind does suck, but Chris, with your job, I know it's got to be a lot more stressful. There's no doubt about it. I don't know how you do it.
I don't even know if it's my job. It's my like patio furniture. This shit blows out in the middle of the street. Like, what's happening right now?
I guess that's going to do it for us on this particular amazing podcast episode where we touch base on music. I know we do, Chris and I've said it time and time again, we will get back into our horror stuff and all that. It's just, Chris, he said it himself best. And in fact, Chris, if you wouldn't mind saying it again about our horror fans, they probably love music just as much.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they got to be music fans if they love Halloween, at least at some level. I mean, John Carpenter, he's a great musician. I mean, he writes great music, plays great music. I mean, they gotta enjoy music as well.
Speaking of music, that Foo Fighters movie, it took me a while to watch it because I just wasn't comfortable watching, Taylor, on the screen because of his passing and all that. What an amazing! He never gave himself credit. But if you guys have not seen that movie yet, the Foo Fighters, that the way I kind of phrase it, it kind of reminds me of an Evil Dead type of movie. It's a comedy spoof horror movie. What is it called? Studios. I've got it on iTunes or Apple, whatever. I don't want to spoil it for you, but there is a certain individual that's in this movie that, let's just put it this way, I'll give you a hint. It's Halloween related.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, I don't want to say more because I will ruin it because I know I will. So,
did you see the new drummer?
Sure have. In fact, he was a part of even the tribute in England and LA. No doubt about it. Well, I guess I'll do our typical plug here at the ending. Thanks so much to all of you out there. Thank you, Chris, for being my co-host all the time. Thank you for tolerating my BS. Andrew, I'm so glad.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for joining us again, sharing those really cool-ass Kurt Cobain. And now you got to go back to try to get that photo autographed.
Well, that'd be kind of cool. I mean, I'm not gonna kill myself over it, but I always try. It just hadn't happened yet. It's not the time.
You got to share it. And I'll definitely share it on here.
That's wild, man. That is wild.
So yes, definitely remember, please subscribe to our channel so we can try to find a way to grow. I normally don't like to push it, but it's the only way that we can grow this damn channel. Of course, liking it. Yes, it does help the algorithm in YouTube. And of course, on your favorite podcast, because as soon as I posted that on Facebook, all of a sudden it seemed like it got more attention. Like, yes, thank God you're on Spotify. It's not like I wasn't trying, folks. But yes, we are on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, and the list goes on. And we're looking to do so much more. We will attack the live streaming issue. That's something I know Chris has been very anxious. I don't mean to put him on the pedestal there, but we will do live streams. There's no doubt about it. Because I'm looking forward to doing that myself, too. And Chris and I are constantly hagging each other about ideas that we want when it comes to this podcast. So stick around. There will be so much more than 2 to 3 to 4 grown men, pissing in their pants while they're watching their favorite band play rock and roll.
And to bring it all full circle, like you were saying earlier about the if anyone ever needs to talk type thing going on, I mean, I'm definitely open to that. Like you said, I would like, not to throw out like a corny thing, but I mean the mental health issue, men's mental health, like men can't really go anywhere and talk to anybody. I would like to have that type of situation here where people can come and talk about things. So I'm open to that. I just want to throw it out there because you mentioned it
Yes,
earlier.
and thank you, Andrew, for bringing that up. That was brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant because I would have loved to have had, it's just, I spend a lot of time to myself. That's probably why I ramble on here a lot. It gives me time to finally talk.
Yeah. Well, I will say you guys are plugging mental health. I will say here in Oklahoma City, just people, I had a husband-wife couple. I just want to tell you a little bit about it because it's something that these doctors and nurses and what they're doing is they're opening direct primary care, and you pay X amount of dollars per month, and you're covered. These doctors are willing to come to your house if you need stitches, whatever the case may be. Your fee is just $100 a month. It's kind of a cool concept.
Well, if you could give me some of that information, Andrew, that way I can at least put that in the description box too. Possibly on our website as well, because we do yes, Meet Us in the Man Cave does have a website there on Podbean. That basically takes care of all of our podcasting issues. So that would be awesome. And you can talk about anything you want. I don't care if it's about depression, the D abuse, or even if you are having a hard time figuring out who you are in your own skin. I don't care. You talk about whatever you want.
Just need health, or you just need health care like this. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of a cool concept. If you know, like I said, I'll provide it for Scott, but if he wants to put it down in the description, you'll have it. And it's kind of a cool concept. Check their little website out. It's cool what they're doing. They're just a funny little couple, and they're from my hometown, so it's kind of cool to see. So I wanted to say also, too, Underage, there's a show out real quick before we go, Underage, Under Something. I've got to find that out, but I will tell you about that real quick. You guys need to check that out. Season 2, Episode 1 is my little home, my county that I live in. So check that out. It's kind of a cool little, if you like stuff like that. But it's these sexual predators that are out there, man, and we need to watch out for our kids.
Oh yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say.
That infuriates the hell out of me. That it's yeah. Unfortunately, I've caught some people out there that are trying their best to catch these SOBs, and they're
Underage Undercover. Underage Undercover is the name of it.
There's a Colorado PED, Colorado. What do they call them? CPP. Colorado. The same thing. If you haven't checked Andrew with us in the past when we used to do Zoom, we got on the horror of the latex. Andrew is a big fan of Halloween. He himself has got him some independent masks from Terry Lambert, and the list goes on from there and there and there. In fact, one of these days, Terry, if you are actually listening right now or watching me here on YouTube, my bad, look at me. So used to saying that from that other YouTube channel. But if you are watching us here on this, because we are following each other now on Facebook, Terry, I want your ass here on the show. I said it out loud, folks. Hopefully that'll happen. That'll probably never happen. So
you never know.
I probably won't put that in there because that's like too much pressure. Because I haven't spoken to Terry in a while. So all right,
hey, remember, and
yeah, I'm out of here. I'm not going to pee in my pants, so I'll talk to you guys later. Take good care and have fun storming the castle.